Hey guys, Poro here with another MSI 2023 video, this time with some predictions for the play-in stage. Usually what I do is I just say who I think the better team is and then give a brief explanation on why I think that. This time however, I wanted to try to go a little deeper, so I went and looked through the match history and pick bands of every team to understand their drafting habits and priorities. I'll go through some mock drafts of each matchup in an attempt to maybe get my predictions a little more accurate. I'm not going to bother with bans because it's basically impossible to know what each team will prioritize banning against each other ahead of time. Instead, I'll just go through a draft scenario that I think could be likely for both red and blue side, plus some other picks that I think could show up instead of what I had. In this video, we've got PSG Talon from the PCS versus DFM from the LJL. DFM is coming in as the underdog both in terms of regional strength and personally on my tier list. We'll start off with DFM on blue and PSG on red. Unfortunately, there's not much detail on what PSG likes to do on red side for the simple fact that they played the majority of their playoff games on blue. We can still infer what they might go with though based on their prior picks. DFM gets B1 pick and it's pretty straightforward here. If Annie isn't banned, Annie gets first picked for Aria. DFM absolutely loves the Annie pick. The last time DFM didn't have Annie picked or banned away from them was week 7. The pick was only left out for the entirety of DFM's draft a total of 3 times since every patch since 13.3. Additionally, Annie has either been first picked by DFM or the champ has been banned in every single game since week 9 of regular season. It's for good reason too, as Aria has a 100% win rate on the champion with a 6-0 record. If Annie does get banned, DFM's other go-to first picks are Xayah and Vi, pretty standard overall. Moving on to PSG's R1 and R2 picks, I expect PSG to have a heavy priority on getting Wako and Junjia their champs as early as possible, with an example being Xayah and Wukong. Possible alternatives include swapping Wukong for Sejuani or swapping Xayah for Aphelios if DFM first picks the Xayah. Back to DFM for their B2, B3, and I have a straightforward Jinx Thresh lock-in for them. DFM has shown to heavily prioritize combo bot lanes like Xayah Rakan and Jinx Thresh. If PSG gets their hands on Xayah, I expect DFM to go for the other combo. PSG's R3 is also pretty straightforward at this point, being a Rakan lock-in to pair with Xayah and the amazing teamfight combo with Wukong. PSG's R4 is next, and the few occasions that they get red side, they tend to give their top laner counterpick. This draft also already has DFM showing their mid laner, so there's no reason for PSG to not pick mid here. The most likely pickups are either Syndra or Tristana. DFM's B4 and B5 are also mostly straightforward, with DFM having a high priority on Malphite when possible. If not Malphite, then I could also see Gragas or Sion being locked in for Tultu. Steel's been having a lot of games on Xin Zhao this playoffs, and it also thematically works into Wukong Rakan, so I would imagine Xin Zhao gets picked here. If not, then maybe a Vi here is one of the last jungle power picks. PSG then gets R5 for top, in which I would expect Gragas, but Kennen or Nara if not. When we look at the draft, there are a couple of ways it could play out. Syndra, in theory, gets shoved against Annie, but Annie's Xin Zhao is more active in mid-jungle early, so it might be difficult for Syndra to maintain prio. I would also assume Xayah Rakan gets the early shove against Jinx Thresh. This draft also probably nets Herald to PSG here since their comp spikes extremely hard at level 6. However, DFM's comp does have a lot of tools for stopping PSG's engage, since Wukong Rakan will have to engage into Thresh, Xin Zhao, Annie. Same goes for the flip side too, since Malphite has a hard time getting on top of Xayah. I would personally say PSG is the winning comp in this exact scenario, but it's not entirely clear. If we look at the flip side where PSG gets blue side and DFM's red side, the draft looks more like this. PSG has shown heavy priority in first picking their jungle on B1, so we're most likely looking at a Wukong B1 with Sejuani or Vi as backup picks. DFM's R1, R2 here would be Xayah Rakan, as getting that bot combo is one of DFM's big focuses in draft if possible. PSG has had Xayah Rakan taken from them a single time this season. As much as I absolutely hate it, they responded with Lucian Nami and won the game. A B2, B3 Lucian Nami would not be unexpected here. If not that, then Wako has also found success on Aphelios, and Woody has similarly found success on Thresh, putting that staple combo in the bot lane as well. DFM then likely goes jungle in R3 with Vi or Xin Zhao. You might notice that I haven't mentioned an Annie pickup here, and that's because DFM often gives Aria counterpick on red side. They have picked Annie in R1, R2 before, but I don't think they would pass up on an Aria counterpick and Xayah Rakan duo for it. R4 would belong to Tultu, with most likely the same idea as last time with a blind Malphite, or Gragas Sion if not. Ubao did play Annie in playoffs, so an Annie denial on B4 makes sense, although Syndra and Azir are two other mages that Ubao might go for. Ozzy probably also looks about the same with Gragas priority, or Kennen Nara if not. Assuming Steel went Vi and not Xin Zhao, Arya has a lot of combos to pair up for a strong mid-jungle. His likely pick in that situation would be Ahri. Another similar pick here could be LeBlanc, who functions similarly with Vi in fights. If Ubao goes with Azir though, Arya does have the ability to pick up Akali, another mobile AP threat who does well into Azir in lane. Looking at this draft example, I would actually argue that DFM has the winning comp. PSG lacks the tools here to peel back from the multiple engage threats that DFM has grabbed, especially with 2 of the set engages being unstoppable against something like a Gragas Cask. Overall, I would argue that DFM has a lot more flexibility in draft than PSG does. Their draft is a lot less predictable and they have deeper champion pools. However, I still think PSG has better players pound for pound. If I had to put odds on this match, I'd say it's a 70-30 in PSG's favor. Their entire roster from top to bottom is very solid, and their jungler Junjia can be a monster if needed. On the other side, DFM has an inexperienced top laner in Toltu, making for an obvious point of pressure for PSG to target. Wako and Woody are also the stronger bot 2v2 over Yutapon Harp in my opinion. If DFM win, it'll be off the back of either a draft gap or Arya finding away the 1v9. The plan is to be able to do this type of video for every match of MSI, but finals are coming up for my university, so I might not have time to edit all these videos together. In the event of that happening, I'll be sure to make a community post with pictures of the mock drafts and explanations on who I think will win those games. That's it for this one, bye.